Let's explore how to create successful database search strategies. Here you see the database PubMed, which indexes 30 million plus articles, and I've done a search on heat and health in American cities, and out of those 30 million indexed articles, it's only found 16, as you see in the search results. That's because PubMed, like a lot of databases, isn't great at extracting relevant articles from natural language searches. Here's the same search over an Academic Search Complete database. Heat and health in American cities only found one search result. In order to succeed with database searching, you need to separate your topics into subtopics, and then use several search terms for each subtopic, and then join those groups of subtopics using and or. This Generate Search Terms tool will walk you through that process. So I'm going to take my topic, heat and health in American cities, and when I hit next, I need to break that down into at least 2 subtopics or key concepts. Well, I've got the concept of heat, and I've got health, and I've got American, and I could either say American cities or I could separate American and cities. I don't have to have 4 subtopics, it's just room in case you need it. Now for each of these subtopics, I'm going to need to come up with some related terms, and they could be equivalent terms or they could be terms that are slightly more specific. So when I think about heat, I think about summer. You might think about the surface temperature. You could think about the heat index that we hear about on the weather. We could think about the heat island effect. Again, I don't have to come up with 7 terms here. That's just room in case you need it. Next, I'm going to look for some related search terms for health. So when I think about the types of health concerns that you might have with relation to heat, I think about things like asthma, could be heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and if you don't know these things, you can go and look in some background material to get some terminology that you could put in here. Think about maybe dehydration and probably aggravation of cardiovascular disease. Next, I need some related search terms for American. Now here I'm really thinking about the United States, not about all of the Western Hemisphere. And so I'm going to put in United States. I'm not going to get so granular that I wind up listing all 50 states and all the territories or anything like that. I'm just going to go with United States. I might also go with US. And then next, I need some related terms for cities. So I'm going to come up with some terms for cities like towns, municipal, neighborhoods, okay, and so I don't have to, again, come up with, all 7, but a term that we might want here is urban, and we might also be interested in suburban. Now I've come up with related terms for all 4 of my subtopics, and what's represented here is the work that I just did, taking one topic, breaking it down into 4 subtopics, and then for each of those subtopics expanding by coming up with some synonyms or some related terms. The next thing that I see on this page is what an actual search strategy looks like. Everything that's in a column like this gets combined with the term or, as you see here. And assume that if you were writing this out for real to put in the database, each of these lines of ORed terms would be enclosed in parentheses. Between the terms, lines of OR terms, you have and. Now it's a good practice to take one line at a time and copy it and paste it into your database to search for it. I'm going to do this in PubMed, and I'm just going to add that to the history. And then I'm going to take the second line, and the reason I'm doing this bit by bit like this is so that if there were to be an issue with the search, if I had thrown the entire search in here, and say it found oodles of things, or it hardly found anything, I wouldn't know which part of it is the part that's causing the problem. Is it the part about the heat that's causing the problem? Is it the part about the health that's causing the problem? Is it, one of these other parts? And so I would have to then take the search and break it down and deconstruct it like this. Anyway, start out with that. And now I've got all 4 of the parts of my search, and I can use the feature of the database to start adding them together iteratively. So first I'm going to put together my heat and my health, and you'll see in the box that it parenthesized all of the ORed terms. And when I add that to the history, I'm already down to 64,000, because when you use AND, you knock out a whole lot of things. Now I'm going to add the query for American and cities, and you can see in the query box that those have been parenthesized. I'm going to add that to the history, and we're down to 165,000. And now I'm going to put together the whole thing with AND. You can see what that looks like in the query box, and when I add that to my history, in fact, there are way more than 16 things in this database, PubMed, that have to do with heat and health in American cities. Now that I broke it down into subtopics and then expanded each of those subtopics with some related terms. It's important that you have these parentheses around these ORed terms, because if you didn't, then the database would read it as if you're interested in everything about each of these terms, plus it would look at heat island effect and health as one group, because it would look through the terms that are immediately to the left and right of the AND as a group, and that would not give you what you wanted. So it's important that you do the parentheses, and it's nice in PubMed that they actually do that for you.